welcome to episode 23 of the Dorton and Doetkott Debate podcast. I am Lucas Dorton. Nick, he's a little inconsistent with this. Sometimes having a headband, sometimes having a headband. I'm not quite sure what's going on there.
Gotta keep them guessing.
That's right. Keep them on their toes. We have another guest too. Kevin Durham is joining the show today. Kevin, how's it going?
Doing good, Lucas. Nick, kind of disappointed to not see the headband, but I guess I'll deal with it.
Yeah. One thing that we both have in common with Nick is that we're just used to him letting us down with whatever it is. I mean, it's not too surprising.
Just a given nowadays, I think.
Yeah, that's true.
I try to debate that, but I don't got much of a debate. I'll try to be better next week.
That's good. So Kevin, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do right now, if you play any sports, anything with that?
Yeah, so right now, with college kind of winding down after this whole COVID stuff, I'm working for the summer. Hopefully can play some town ball for the rival of Nick's team there, G.O.A.T Islanders.
Yeah, darn Islanders.
That might actually be the best rivalry in sports too, by the way, Nick. That might be the best rivalry.
Oh, true. Hey, Dorton might be joining Arlington here.
I might be. I might be moving out there. I will be moving out there in September, so I need to find a team to join. So I'll just be like LeBron when I was leaving the Cavs. Give me all the offers here.
Yeah. And along with that, I go to school at Gustavus, play football there. So next year will be my second year playing there.
Okay.
One heck of a running back here. Is that what you play at Gustavus?
Yeah, I play running back there too.
Yeah. How many yards do you have at Sibley's?
I don't know, like tick under 4,000, I think.
It was a lot, man.
So are you more of a downhill runner, or are you more of the elusive trying to break some ankles runner?
Kind of somewhere in between, I think. Got decent speed, but I'm not the biggest guy, but I still like to run people over. That's pretty fun.
Right. Who doesn't?
So what do you like more? Do you like trucking someone, or do you like just sending someone into the next dimension with a juke?
Oh, I like trucking people, honestly.
Yeah.
Because we didn't play on turf in high school, so it's hard to like break ankles when you're playing on these like uneven grass fields.
Right.
So like, we had one option half the time.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. But yeah, so pretty much we'll just get right into it, folks. So if you're watching this episode, this is the GOAT debate episode for the NBA. Now, unless somebody else has a different GOAT, I would be surprised if he did. It's pretty much going to be between Michael Jordan and LeBron. So any sports take that you've seen on, the ESPN for like the last, 5-10 years, we're going to be doing that. But this one's going to be better because it's the Dorton and Doetkott Debate podcast and Kevin joining the show. That's something that all the other shows don't have. So we'll be.
I just like to say, the GOAT debate, it's typically LeBron and Jordan, right? And I think the general consensus, the most popular is Jordan, which, obviously, but I do think, I think it's definitely between LeBron and Jordan. However, I do think, Wilt Chamberlain has argument. I know the whole era thing with him is a big if. He averaged, 50 points and 30 rebounds in a season? Obviously, nobody's going to be able to do that nowadays. But regardless, with the stats he put up, I think he could be in the conversation. And then, Magic Johnson and Kareem. But at the end of the day, I think it's definitely between LeBron and Jordan.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I don't think I definitely firmly have Jordan and LeBron 1-2 in some order. We'll get to that. But I don't think the gap between three and the rest is as big as it the media makes it out to be. I don't think there's a huge gap there.
So this is a question I have for you guys. I know oftentimes, Shaq has said it on a number of occasions and people bring it up every once in a while, but they think you should not have an overall GOAT. It should just be the decade or a generation GOAT. So what do you guys feel about that? Kevin, I'll start with you. Do you think you should just have one just set in stone? It's, Jordan, LeBron, it's one or the other. Or are you in favor of having this decade GOAT, and there isn't truly one GOAT?
That's a tough one. I think it's fun to debate the all-time GOAT. But I think you said Shaq said it's hard to debate across eras statistically, because the game now is so predicated on layups and three-pointers. That's all it is. And the defense isn't necessarily as big of a part. They'll give up mid-rangers all day, essentially because they're not an efficient shot. So I think that argument like has merit. So like LeBron would obviously probably be the no doubt of this era, Jordan of the previous era. If there's Kobe squeezed in between there, but I don't think there's like a right or wrong answer on that. I think it's somewhere between. I think it's always fun to debate the GOAT all time, but it's tough with comparing eras.
Nick, what do you think about that?
I mean, I get it. I see those people's arguments, especially considering the game's changed so much. I mean, for instance, they never even used to have a 3-point line, you know? So imagine if Steph Curry played 45 years ago. It's not to say it wouldn't have been good. I mean, a guy that good will find a way to, you know, get his points, especially with how good he can dribble. But it just shows how the game's changed. However, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. For one, it's fun to debate the all-time GOAT. I mean, it's to me like the most fun argument in sports, regardless whether you're talking NBA, MLB, NFL, whatever. But, and honestly, you know, yeah, there's different eras, but it doesn't mean you can't compare them. I mean, and it may be harder, but you can, I mean, I'm okay with somebody saying Jordan dominated his era more than LeBron dominated his era, or LeBron dominated his era more than George Mikan dominated his era. You know, is there any way to actually prove it? No. But, I mean, that's what debates and are for and opinions are for. I don't see any problem with it. And honestly, it's just fun. So I think everybody should pick a GOAT for all time, and I'm totally fine with it. Like, I think Tom Brady, just going to throw that out there, everybody knows I love Tom Brady. I think he's the greatest football player ever. Whether AFL, NFL, before the NFL and AFL merger, whatever. I have no problem saying that. So
fair.
So that's actually, I wasn't going to bring this up, but Nick, now you brought this up.
I always bring Brady up.
I mean, you always bring Brady up. So that's a basketball conversation, but you know, recently I was watching The Herd with Colin Cowherd, and he kind of brought up the question, like, you know, when people talk about football, like, who's the GOAT? You know, there's a pretty general consensus that it's Tom Brady. Some Joe Montana fans mixed in there, but I'd say for the most part, it's Tom Brady. So that pains me to say. I don't like Tom Brady. I'm a Dolphins fan, but he probably is the GOAT. But anyways, a pretty general consensus. Why do you guys feel then in basketball that it isn't a general one? You know, obviously, you know, you can have the rings debate too. You know, Jordan 6-0. You know, LeBron 3-6. You know, stats, whatever. But why do you guys feel that it's more up in the air for basketball than it is for football? Nick, if you want to...
I'll just jump in. For one, it depends on who you ask. Some people, for NBA, it's not a debate. Some people are just Jordan all the way, and it's not a debate. I think for many, like myself, it's debatable and it's consensus. And there is some people in football, too, who don't think it's Brady. However, yes, I would agree. I think a lot of people think it's Brady. But football is a whole other thing, too, because I just said I think Brady's the GOAT. But if he weren't a quarterback, it's tough to say. The quarterback is just the most important position on the field by far. So obviously, you know, that's why they get MVPs all the time and whatnot. It's hard to compare if Tom Brady's really better than, you know, Lawrence Taylor, Jim Brown, for example. I'm willing to say he's the GOAT. But, I mean, just talking GOAT in football itself is a whole different story. But I just think basketball is such a star-driven league. So there's so many. So it's a lot of times more about the star itself than the team. Like, you don't even say the Cavaliers versus so-and-so. When LeBron was there, it was LeBron's Cavs or even just LeBron versus whoever, because basketball is a star-driven league. So you just grow enamored with these stars and these athletes themselves rather than the team. And I think Jordan and LeBron are clearly the most iconic and well-revered and, I guess, idolized, you could say, athletes in NBA history, probably. And I think that's the reason why it's so debated, because LeBron was being compared to Jordan before he even came into the NBA. So some people, especially those like us who never even got to watch Jordan, some of us just grew to love LeBron, and LeBron was our Michael Jordan because we didn't even get to see Michael Jordan. And I think that's why it's such a big debate.
Yeah, I think there's more emotion involved with the Jordan and James thing than the Brady Montana. I just don't think like people are as emotionally involved with like the Joe Montana or whoever else you're kind of debating for football. And you brought up a good point with the like kind of positional value thing. I've always kind of considered like Jerry Rice maybe to be the best football player of all time. But that just depends. Are you always going to pick the quarterback because it's by far the most valuable position, not just in football, but in sports?
Agreed.
But I think it comes down to the emotional part of it. That's why it's so highly debated.
Yeah, I'd say that's a good way to put it.
I think something else that kind of plays in the factor too of why there's so much up in the air with basketball is that, a lot of the times I like to look at the players who played the game. Well, what did the players say? For NFL, it's pretty much Brady. I think Ronnie Lott came on the show. I can't remember. I think it was Whitlock and Wiley, and they were talking to him, and he still thought that Joe Montana is a GOAT. I'm pretty sure Montana said that Brady is a GOAT, but
Brady won't even admit to himself that he's the GOAT. So
right. But basketball, it's so up in the air. I mean, you talk about guys who play now who probably barely got to watch Michael Jordan play. I mean, maybe he was on the Wizards at the end of his career. Maybe they watched him play then. But then you have people who've been watching it, who's been able to see both, who thinks it's Jordan. So it really, truly is up in the air. I mean, I love debate. I love bringing it up. Like I said, I think Jordan and LeBron are the right choices. Whatever side you fall on, as long as it's one of those two. I think if it's outside of that, then I don't know. I don't really.
As long as you got a good argument to back it up, I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard to come up with an argument for GOAT besides LeBron or Jordan. But regardless of which side you lean, as long as you got facts to support it, I'm willing. There's some people who are just straight up LeBron haters or straight up Jordan haters.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what you say to them, especially. And this may sound biased because obviously I'm a big LeBron guy, but I've run into so many people who just hate on LeBron for no reason.
Oh, yeah.
And it don't matter what you tell them, they won't change their minds. But so as long as you have facts to back it up, I'm fine.
And most of those people, they hate on LeBron so much that they tear him down to be like, but then you ask who's the second best player, they'll be like, oh, probably LeBron. But they tear him down so far. Like, how can you pick him second then?
Yeah,
that's a good point.
I think the fact that we've been debating, or many people have been debating, is LeBron better than Jordan, or is he on the same level as Jordan for like a decade now, shows how good he is. I think that alone shows that he is right there up with Jordan, and it's pretty much between those two for the GOAT. I mean, this guy wouldn't be debated in GOAT, wouldn't be talked about in GOAT debates for a whole decade if he weren't worthy of it. I mean, Kobe and Shaq, as good as they were, you never really heard them. Are they the GOAT, throughout their career? LeBron, you've heard it for a long time because there's reason to do so. And obviously, Jordan's the one they measure up to because the dude's 6 for 6, and we all know how good he is. We should probably get into it, huh?
Yeah, I suppose it's about time to start getting into the debate. So, yeah, folks, there really is not going to be any particular format with this. We're not going to be going by different skill sets and see which one is better, kind of like ESPN did. I don't know if – okay, that's another sidetrack. I don't know if you guys saw that or not, but did you see when ESPN, they did, like, the comparison, having people vote for, like, every state? It was, like, three-point shooting, leadership, a bunch of different things. And it was, like, 80-20 Jordan or something like that on, like, every single one. Like, whatever, I don't care. But I just wanted to bring that up. But, so, yeah, no particular format. We're just going to go right into it. So, Kevin, well, since you're the guest, we'll let you start with this. What side of the fence do you lean on, and I guess why?
So, kind of like Nick, I'm like not 100% into one camp or the other. But at the end of the day, if I have to choose one, I'm going Jordan. Okay. I know it's kind of the cliche, but I think the 6 for 6 thing is huge. You got to think also he lost essentially 2 prime years of his career. 3, I guess, almost because of an injury early in his career. Basically prime Jordan. I think.
Sorry to interrupt you real quick.
Yeah, that's fine.
If Jordan doesn't retire those 2 years, I mean, do you think they win 8 in a row?
I think they do. I think they win 8 in a row.
I'm not entirely sure how good Houston was. I mean, obviously they were good. They won the 2 years when and they had Olajuwon. But there's a legitimate reason to think they would have gone 8 for 8 if he hadn't retired. I mean, technically he did come back that second year and did play in the playoffs, but he didn't have a whole season under his belt and he was probably rusty. But I mean, there's a good chance he has at least 7 if he doesn't retire. There. Anyway, sorry to interrupt you.
He does that all the time.
No, that's fine.
Get used to it.
Kind of getting back to it, I'd like the dominance part. I know statistics aren't always like correlated across eras, or they don't translate across eras that accurately, but there's a couple advanced statistics like a real box score plus minus or whatever, stuff like that, a VORP, win share, stuff like that. And Jordan basically led those categories every single year that he played. Like he was top 5 his rookie year, and then every other year until he retired. The second time when he was playing, he was first every single year. So I think he was just kind of on a different level of dominance. And then one of the debates too can kind of be like, do you think the GOAT is the greatest? Depends on you define greatest or the best.
Yeah.
And I think when I think of great, I think clutch, executes when it matters, and impact on the game. I think Jordan impacted the game, made it global more than LeBron has. So that's I think the word great kind of encompasses Jordan more than it does LeBron. Not to say LeBron's not great, but I just think Jordan fits it better than LeBron.
Nick, I'll get to you in a second. I just want to make a quick point here too, Kevin. That's a great thing that you made that you brought up about the globally thing. I think I would agree with you. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm sure LeBron's got his fair amount of support overseas and stuff. I'm sure. Yeah. I think it is a little more impressive though of how Jordan did reach those fans because there was no social media when he played. You know, he didn't have the Twitter, the Instagram to have millions and billions of followers to follow him. So all was really strictly of his game and people just watching him play in the Air Jordan. And so I think that is very impressive how he reached globally with pretty much no social media.
And along with that, what I'd add is it wasn't just sports either. He was across, he transcended sports. It, in terms of celebrity, it was him and Michael Jackson, the two biggest celebrities in the world. Yeah. You didn't just have to be a sports fan to know Michael Jordan.
Right. Yeah. But go ahead, Nick. Did you have something you wanted to say?
So, I want to touch on what Kevin said about best and greatest. First of all, so Kevin retweeted this yesterday, right? Yeah. Magic Johnson said, when you think about all-around basketball player, LeBron probably is the best of all time. But when you want to say who is the greatest ever, it's still Michael Jordan. And Kevin retweeted it and said the simplest yet most accurate way to describe it. And I'm not entirely – I somewhat agree with that. But I agree with his thinking of that. I'm just not sure I totally agree with who is actually the greatest. As in what I'm saying is the best. To me, if you say best basketball player, who's the best all-around basketball player, who is best at playing basketball, essentially. I think it's LeBron, no argument. He can pass. He's one of the best passers of all time. I mean, the dude's vision is unbelievable. I mean, he's kind of like LeBron and Larry Bird are very similar. I just think LeBron's even better. The dude can pass, amazing. He can rebound. The end of his career, he hasn't been the greatest defender, but he used to be a heck of a defender. I think he's 6-time all-defense. He can shoot. He wasn't great at the three-point ball, but now he's actually a pretty good three-point shooter. Yeah, he's not a great free-throw shooter, but he still shoots in the 70%. He doesn't necessarily have a weakness, and he's good at everything. However, if you talk greatness, that involves kind of the mental aspect, right? You can be good at something, but if you cave under pressure, it don't matter. So greatness is, along with best and being good at it, it's a winner's mentality, which honestly is a thing, and some people are just good at winning. Tim Tebow, for example, I use all the time because we all know Tim Tebow wasn't the greatest quarterback, especially, with his mechanics, right? But say what you want about him, and I know he's not in the NFL anymore, but he found ways to win. At Florida, he won 2 national championships. At Denver, he had terrible stat lines, but come fourth quarter, he'd get the job done and win, right? And I know it didn't lead to Super Bowls, but he won a playoff game. My point is some people are just good at winning. And I think Jordan's better at winning than LeBron was. And that's why, along with the fact that he was obviously a very good basketball player, it's easy to say Jordan's the greatest. However, the question I have to ask myself to determine it is, was Jordan better at winning because he was just simply better at winning and he was a better basketball player, or was it easier for him because he played weaker teams and had better teammates? That's the question. And I myself have not totally answered. That's why I am somewhat on the fence. I think you're talking best, it's LeBron. But if you're talking greatest, which is what GOAT debate is, I'm very on the fence. I always was Jordan, even though I loved LeBron. But what LeBron did to the Warriors when they were 73-9, I mean, I don't know. I guess the thing is, the one blemish LeBron will always have is the Dallas Mavericks series. I think we can all agree he was not good that series. And if you replace him with Jordan and the Heat are definitely winning that finals. I can't argue that. But if you put Jordan on all those Cavs teams against the Warriors, Will he beat that 73-9 team? I don't know. I think it's unlikely. Would he beat any of the other three? Possibly. The thing is, you ask yourself, if you just put Jordan where LeBron is and LeBron is where Jordan is. Does LeBron have 6 and or more or less? Does Jordan have more than 3, less than 3? I don't know. We can't answer that. But I think LeBron makes bad teams great. Jordan, I think LeBron makes everybody greater more so than Jordan does. But when it comes down to the clutch time, Jordan's better. So I know I'm not really giving you a legit answer. This is how close it is. I lean LeBron though, just because I think he's just, no matter who you put him with, what team he's playing against, he finds a way to average 28, 8, and 8 and bring the crappiest of teams to the finals. Like that 07 Cavs team should have won 35 games and they made the NBA finals, you know? So
I will say I want to touch quick on the Mavericks loss. I agree. I think the Heat certainly should have won that series. I will say
he
though,
averaged 17.8 points a game that series.
That's bad.
And I believe he scored 8 points in one of those games. LeBron has the all-time record for most consecutive games scoring double digits. He hasn't not scored double digits in a regular season game in 13 years, right? But that streak doesn't count playoffs. He didn't even score double digits in the finals game against the Mavericks. I mean,
I will say though, I think sometimes that Mavericks team gets a little bit overlooked. I mean, the teams that they beat to get there, Portland Trailblazers, okay, whatever, made the playoffs, so good for them. But they had to beat the Kobe-led Lakers and then the Durant Westbrook-led OKC Thunder. So they were doing upsets left and right. So they must have just been riding that into that series and say, hey, we can beat Kobe, we can beat, Durant, Westbrook. Screw it, let's beat LeBron too. Why not? I will say, like I said, I think the
Dirk had an unbelievable series.
Dirk did, yeah, Dirk ball. But anyways, that's all I had to say about that.
One thing I'll say about that is, even if that Mavericks team was a little better than most people give them credit for, I still don't really know if they were better than more than one or two teams that ever beat Jordan in the playoffs.
Yeah,
I think Jordan gets a lot of people diss his before Pippen playoff record essentially. But if you look at if you look at the teams he played before he had Pippen, his rookie year, which he made the playoffs his rookie year, I don't think LeBron did.
I mean, he did, but they went 35 and 50 something. I mean,
made the playoffs.
Made the playoffs. But they played Milwaukee and lost a year. Milwaukee was a very good basketball team back then, very good. And then every other year he loses to Boston, Cleveland, who used to be really good. And then the bad boys, essentially. He was losing to teams with Hall of Famers on them. He wasn't losing to who's LeBron lost to in the Eastern Conference playoffs? The Detroit team when they're past their prime.
They lost in the Eastern Conference playoffs? No.
Before he left, essentially.
Before he
left, yeah.
They lost to Dwight Howard and the Magic. That's
not great. Dwight Howard was good, but that's not a great loss.
I just want to say back to the Magic or the Mavericks thing. Like I said, it's the one blemish he will never be able to take to wipe away. However, you don't have to win it every year. So I mean, yes, it's a blemish, but I don't think it should automatically take him out of the consideration. But you were saying, Kevin, just because they may be better than what it's given them credit for, they're still not that great. And I would say that team only had one superstar. They had Dirk. So it was pretty much Dirk and a good supporting cast versus LeBron and a good supporting cast. And Dirk outplayed LeBron point blank and won the finals.
And Dirk was still very good, but it was not prime Dirk anymore.
And
he was 3 years past his prime.
And he went 22 for 23 free throws that one game or something like that. It was just insane. And so, yes, like I said, LeBron will never be able to take that back. I mean, Dirk beat him. I'm not trying to diss on Dirk, but Dirk Nowitzki ain't no GOAT. And Dirk pretty much outplayed LeBron and won the finals. So he will never be able to take that back. But with that being said, I don't think he should not be included just because of that one blemish.
So another thing I wanted to bring up, a lot of times, I like to see how do the teams do after a star player leaves, right? Like that's really intriguing to me. Like not just in basketball, but any sport. I mean, I'm intrigued to see how the Patriots do this year with Tom Brady being gone.
I hope they suck.
Games, or going to win
so
5
people
games.
Can stop saying it's all Bill.
Well, we'll get that to another day, Nick. This is Jordan and LeBron, but
sorry.
No, it's all good. I just think to me, that season that Michael Jordan retired to go play baseball, which I'll get to that in a second. But that's another thing. Going to play baseball, Chicago, obviously, I'm assuming a lot of you watched, Kevin, I don't know if you watched that Last Dance documentary, if you got a chance.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I got it. Yep.
Okay. But, I mean, like they said in there, the Bulls, 55-27, and they were a couple wins shy of going to the Eastern Conference Finals.
One.
One game. Yep,
there were 2 games. They won 2 less games than they did the year before.
Yep. And so pretty solid. Now, they said that was probably Phil Jackson's best year of coaching, which all credit to Phil Jackson. I think he's the GOAT of coaching. So he's a phenomenal coach, don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. But obviously they were pretty well equipped after Jordan retired the first time to still have success. And how did those Cavs teams do after LeBron left? I mean, quite literally, bottom of the barrel. That was bottom of the barrel.
So I got it for you here. So the first time LeBron left, so they were 2009 and 10. They were 61-21. In 10-11, when LeBron left, they were 19-63. That is 42 less losses or less wins. 42. The Bulls lost 2 more games than they had previously, and then the Heat had won 47 games in 2010, which is pretty good. And then they went up 11 wins to 58 when LeBron joined them. So, yeah, I think the best argument, like if you had to pick one argument for LeBron being the GOAT, it's that. LeBron leaves, and in the 4 years LeBron was in Miami, Cleveland was the worst team in the NBA over that 4-year span. The very worst, the bottom. And then he comes back, and they make 4 straight finals. Whereas Jordan leaves, and they lost to Patrick Ewing and the Knicks in 7 games in the Eastern Conference Finals and only lost two more games than they had the previous year. So I think, I'm not saying it's the reason he is the GOAT, but if you had to pick one argument for why LeBron's the GOAT, I'd say that right there is your best argument.
Oh, yeah, I agree with that. I guess kind of getting back, this is related, but also kind of getting back to what you were saying before, that LeBron makes his players better. Yeah. I don't know if he necessarily makes them better as much as he elevates their play. Like, they're not better after they play LeBron. What I would say about Jordan is I think Jordan's mentality and his kind of how he pushed people in practice literally made them better players. I don't think Scottie Pippen's as good as Scottie Pippen is if he's not getting pushed by Jordan every day in practice for a couple of years, essentially.
Good point.
I think he kind of set them up for success, not intentionally, because I'm not saying he was like the ultimate team player, because, I mean, The Last Dance, he's pretty arrogant.
He's kind of full Steve Kerr in the face.
But like almost unintentionally set them up for success by being so hard on them in practice and stuff like that. I do think that is the best argument for LeBron. I will say that is the best argument.
So Kevin, I want to ask you. Obviously, you play football. You've had success playing football in your football career so far. Do you more prefer a coach that, let's say, is more like Jordan? You know, he's gonna push you. You're probably gonna hate him a lot of days, and you're probably not gonna go out there. But you know, you just do. Or are you more on the side of, you know, I want to coach kind of like, you know, a LeBron type, kind of like a class clown, you know, can have fun, but pretty much when it comes to game time, everybody better be ready to play. Is there a side that you prefer more as a player?
Yeah, that is a really tough question, honestly. I guess it would depend on how good we already are. If we're not good, I want to get pushed.
Yeah.
If we're already really good, maybe relax a little bit. But if I had to choose one, I'd probably go with the hard one because I know that we are going to grow from it, essentially. Yeah. Although, I mean, that's why I think the Jerry Krause, I think, actually gets a lot more hate than he should because he got players that were going to be receptive to not only Jordan, but Phil Jackson too. So I think it depends, essentially what I'm saying. Sure. I think Pippen was receptive to it.
Yeah.
Right. I'm a wussy, so I don't want a coach to push me.
Yeah, we know, Nick.
Well, what about you? So would you more like that, kind of chill, let's have fun, more coaching, Nick, or what?
I'm just not a very serious person in general, and I never put as much effort into sports as I should have. So I don't want to get pushed. No, I'm not saying a coach shouldn't do that. That's probably, I think to most of the time, the coach who really pushes you and is a little harder on you is going to be the best way to go. But
sure.
Like I said, I don't.
So I think sometimes when you're evaluating GOATs, I think it's fair to look at the championships, and which ones are valued more. And to me, this one is a little difficult because, you look at the Jordan. Obviously, his best one was the 72 wins. Set the record. Won the finals that year. I would say that's probably his best ring, just because, like I said, set an NBA record. And I would probably say Jordan or LeBron's best is beating the 73-9 Warriors team, coming back from 3-1. So I feel that's kind of something that you have to look at too. So Nick, I'll start with you on this. Do you think that championships should all be weighed equally just because, hey, you won a championship, you're amongst some of the best ever do it, or do you think there's some tiers to different rings?
At the end of the day, it really matters. It really just matters how many you have. Yeah, some mean more. Like, obviously, LeBron winning in Cleveland against the 73-9 Warriors is much more impressive than him beating the Thunder or the Spurs with the Heat. And like, let's just say, for instance, New England would have beat New York and went 19-0. That would be much more impressive of a season than any other winning season besides the Miami season. But at the end of the day, it really just matters how many you win. If you beat a bunch of bad teams to get there, well, that's just the way it was. It doesn't mean you wouldn't have beat them if they were better. You can't really hold that against them. And that's why I would say, obviously, the best argument for Jordan is the 6 versus 3, which, in my opinion, the only thing holding me back from announcing LeBron as the GOAT is the 6 versus 3. Because, let's just face it, it's a big difference. If I could watch every game I've ever watched with LeBron, it's a lot. And if I wouldn't have been able to watch the NBA Finals, and you'd ask me, how many finals does LeBron have? I'd probably tell you like 8. I just can't imagine how the guy doesn't have more than 3. I just can't fathom it, because at the end of the day, he just didn't find a way to win many of them. Whether it was his fault or not, he just didn't. Jordan has 6. We can't not look at that. That's why I said what matters is it solely because Jordan that they have 6? Or is the fact that they had Pippen and Rodman, or maybe didn't play as good a team? So the best argument for Jordan is the 6. And yes, some finals are more impressive than others, but at the end of the day, it really just matters how many you have. I would like to say, though, Kevin, you mentioned the 6 for 6 earlier. I don't like that debate. I don't like the 6 for 6. The 6 versus 3 is fine. I don't like the 6 for 6, though, because in a sense, that's really just saying, yes, Jordan's 6 for 6 in the finals, but what happens if he lost in the Eastern Conference Finals and didn't make it? Is that doesn't matter? As in, LeBron is 3 and 6 in the NBA Finals. But what happens if those 6 years that they lost the NBA Finals, he would have lost in the Eastern Conference Finals instead? Then he's 3 and 0 in the NBA Finals. Then he's undefeated. Yeah. So I don't think losing in the finals should be held against you. It should just be how many you
This
have.
is against the Mavs.
Well, yes. But what if they lose in the Eastern Conference Finals and never even play the Mavs?
That is true.
So making it to the finals and losing shouldn't be held against you. What should matter is how many you won, not how many you won in a certain amount of years.
But what I will say with that is that I think if he's not making the finals with how weak the East was, that means he's probably losing to bad teams in the playoffs, teams that aren't very relative to Jordan losing to like the Celtics and the Pistons.
That's valid. I mean, Boston was pretty good there with the big three, and that's kind of what pretty much led to him, partially what led him leaving Cleveland in the first place. But yeah, I mean, I guess that is a good point. He didn't have a very tough road to the finals.
So something else too, I'm just thinking of things, left and right that I want to bring up. I think there's two things that I want to bring up. The first one is the teammates thing. I think a lot of times, people bring up that, Jordan needed help. Oh, LeBron needs help to win. They bring that up all the time. If you got, guys agree with me, disagree with me, whatever. I would say in the NBA, you almost need superstars, like you almost need superstar teammates to win. It is extremely difficult to try and win finals by yourself. You can take them the distance, but at the end of the day, sometimes you need someone else to rely on. I think Jordan needed that, the Scottie Pippen, the Dennis Rodman just kind of hustle, gonna punch in the mouth kind of guy too out there on the court. And I think, LeBron maybe needed a little bit help too with, some more shooting wise. He's a good shooter, but if he's the only one doing it, it's going to be hard to win some games. So Kevin, I'll start with you. What do you think about that? Do you think that, kind of in general throughout history, you probably need more than one star player to win?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. Like I can't even think of the last team that would have won a finals that didn't have multiple like all-stars on their team. I really can't think of one. The Mavs. Yeah, the Mavs, probably. But
I think
that's
so.
about it. Did they have anyone else besides Dirk that would have made an all-star team?
I don't know.
I don't think they had another all-star. They did have a very good roster. They had a bunch of savvy vets. Jason Terry, I believe Jason Kidd, Tyson Chandler. But I don't think they had another all-star, no.
So like throughout history, it's kind of been proven that you need other pieces. And I think LeBron gets more hate for it because the pieces that he got were he only got them because he influenced either the free agent market or he influenced like management to get the people. Whereas in Dorton's case, Jerry Krause again, was working his magic for as much hate as he gets to get the pieces around him that he needed. And I will say that was it the 73 and 9 year that like K-Love was injured, and was that the year?
The year before that, they went like 67 and 15, and K-Love got injured and Kyrie got injured, and then they lost. The next year is when they went 73 and 9, and they beat them in 7 after being down 3-1.
Okay. But still, even when he had players in Cleveland, you could never really rely on K-Love to be healthy or Kyrie to be healthy sometimes too. So I think, that's why I don't really ever hate on LeBron too much for the whole Miami thing, except for I think it always will he spent his prime years in Miami, essentially. The last time you can say without a doubt LeBron is the best player in the NBA, like there's no question. Yeah. I think with Miami. Ever since then, you could argue with people. So I think that will against him, whether right or wrong. Were you going to say something, Nick?
I'd say maybe that first year in Cleveland when he came back, he still could be. But yeah, I definitely hear where you're coming from. I mean, his prime years were in Miami, and after that, other guys started to catch up to him. And I know, LeBron's hated on by a lot, and I honestly just don't understand. And a lot of it is because of that decision. And I mean, the way he did it, probably shouldn't have gone about it that way. But he shouldn't be hated on for going to Miami. I mean, at the end of the day, the guy just wanted to win. And you can say, well, Jordan never left. Kobe never left. Derek Jeter, Tom Brady, up until now, all these guys never left. Well, they didn't have to. They had guys there with them. Jordan got Scottie Pippen. He didn't have anything to do with it, but that doesn't matter. He got Scottie Pippen. If he never gets Scottie Pippen, maybe Jordan leaves. Maybe he doesn't. I don't know. But if he doesn't leave and they never get Scottie Pippen, then he might not ever want anything. LeBron never got anything. He wanted help. And you know what the Cavs gave him? They gave him an Anton Jameson towards the end of his career. That's all he ever got. He had to leave if he wanted to win. And, the guy was already being compared to Jordan as the GOAT. If he never wins any finals, he's never going to win that argument. And he's not going to win any finals staying in Cleveland. So he had to leave. I mean, he had to if he wanted to win anything. So it shouldn't be held against him.
I agree with that. It's always funny to me. I just like to look back at LeBron's first finals appearance when they played the San Antonio Spurs. That Cleveland Cavaliers team, these are the guys.
Sasha Pavlovich.
Obviously LeBron, obviously. Shannon Brown, Daniel Gibson, Drew Gooden, Larry Hughes, Ilgauskas, Damon Jones, Dwayne Jones, Danielle Marshall, Ira Newble, Alexander Pavlik, Scott Pollard, Eric Snow, Anderson Varejao, and David Wesley. Besides LeBron, I'm not joking, I've heard maybe of 3 of those guys. Ilgauskas and Shannon Brown. I'm not sure. Damon Jones maybe too. I'm not sure I've heard of any other players on that team.
I mean, I know them all, but that's because I was a big LeBron and Cavs guy. But yeah, I mean, that is the worst team to ever be in the NBA Finals, and LeBron led them there. I mean,
but yeah, no, I'm glad you agree with me with that. I don't like when people bring up this guy needs help to win. This guy needs help to win. Well, congratulations. Yeah, they need help because you're in a league right now where if you want to win a title, you probably need, 2 or 3 superstar type players. I hate the Warriors, I do. But if Steph Curry is just there by himself, or if Klay Thompson is just there by himself, they're not, maybe a playoff team. I don't think they're winning any finals though.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I guess I'd like to ask, how much does their play in the NBA Finals, so Jordan specifically and LeBron specifically, influence your decision on who's the GOAT? As in, like, for one, who do you think has had the better finals career? I mean, I'll just tell you, in 92-93, Michael Jordan averaged 41 points a game in 6 games in the NBA Finals. But on the other hand, LeBron averaged a triple-double with 33.6 points per game in 2016 and 17, and lost, by the way. So how much does finals play individually impact this debate? I would think it's high, right?
Yeah, I think it's quite a bit, honestly. I don't really like averaging a triple-double is impressive, but I don't like the triple-double argument really that much because I think assists are kind of just, if you're the main ball handler in today's NBA, you're going to get assists. Like, I think if Jordan plays today, he's a triple-double machine. Like, he doesn't have the assist numbers, but if he plays in today's game, I think he's a walking triple-double. I mean, you look at his stats in the finals. I'm going to find him here quick. But he has assists all over the place in the finals.
Yeah. He averaged 11.4 assists a game in his first finals.
Yeah, that is very good. That is very good. And then he had 2 more double-digit assist games in the next finals. I mean, so it's not like he was a bad passer. And I think, you just look at the buzzer beater in 98. Obviously, that's a big one. I don't want to overinflate one moment too much, but I think that gets back to the greatest, how you define it. Like, he performed when he needed to perform. Yeah. And then another underrated moment is when he, the mental aspect is when he gave Kerr the ball in the previous finals, I think it was, when he saw that they had run that save and play already, that they had taken it away, and he saw that, and he's like, all right, we're going to run this, and you're going to get the ball, Kerr. So I think, I don't know, but LeBron did play really good in the finals. I will say that, except for 2011. But
yeah.
No, and I remember the year when they beat the Warriors. I thought that was the best performance, even besides the year that he averaged a triple-double and they lost that year, I think it was, right?
That's what they were debating if he should be MVP, because the only person who's ever won Finals MVP and didn't win was Jerry West, and they were debating whether LeBron should.
No, yeah, I would not give it to him, even though
I wouldn't either. Even though, he's clearly the MVP of the series. No, I wouldn't do it either.
Yeah.
I guess before I get you, Dorton, I'd just like to say LeBron's best 3 finals, most likely, statistically, 14-15, he averaged 35.8, 13.3, and 8.8. He lost. 16-17, 33.6, 12, and 10. He lost. And then 17-18, 34 points per game, 8.5 rebounds, 10 assists. He lost. What I'm trying to say here is LeBron, some reason people think like he just never shows up in the big games. And I think it's because, he's missed a lot of buzzer beaters and nobody can debate that. But honestly, if you look at all the greats in NBA history, their shooting percentage with like under 20 seconds left in tie game or they're down, they're all terrible. I guess I'm just trying to point out LeBron has just absolutely balled out in 3 different finals and still lost. So you can't hold that against him. But that's not to say Jordan didn't ball out, because Jordan never had a Mavericks type finals. He never did. He did shoot 41.5% in 95 and 96 and only averaged 27.3. So he didn't do that great that year, but he still averaged 27.3, 5.3, and 4.2. So.
So what was the question again?
I guess how much? So you picked LeBron over Jordan, correct?
Yep.
How much does finals performance have an impact over that? And do you think LeBron has had the better finals performances, or do you lean Jordan? Like, how much does finals matter compared to the rest?
Yeah, I think finals is a huge comparison. If you get to the finals, you want your star players to perform. You want those big name guys to perform. So I think if, let's say LeBron he was just terrible and he only averaged like 15 points, 2 assists, and 5 rebounds his playoff career, then I think there's a significant edge for Michael Jordan in that respect, is that Michael Jordan came to play, but LeBron didn't. But that's not the case. LeBron came to play. So I think that, Jordan's got more rings. He's got 3 more and never lost one. But I do think that, and Kevin, I'm glad you brought it up too, that people always, they hate on LeBron for not showing up. But it's, he showed up. He's done his thing. It's just sometimes the help that he had wasn't the best. I think playoff performance is a huge impact factor for me because, like I said, you want your star players to come and perform, and he came and performed. They both did. They both came and they both performed and they both dominated. So I think that's a tough argument to make that, Jordan's got the more rings, but it's not for a lack of effort from LeBron of why he doesn't have more. So, so that's my take on that. So I think there's another thing, too, that I had wanted to bring up. I think there's, in sports, you have, I don't know what the right word would be, so I'm just going to, try and make up something. You have guys that, they're ceiling raisers. So, the guys kind of like the Kawhi Leonards of the world. They're going to be good. They're going to ball out for you. But is that team going to be necessarily worse when they leave? I don't know. Probably not. And then there's like maybe floor raisers. That's probably be the other one. That would be taking teams from the ashes and bringing them up to be a phenomenal team. Kind of like your Chris Pauls and the LeBron.
Good example. Yeah.
So what do you guys feel about that? Because, on my side, obviously, I think I tend to lean more towards the floor raisers leading teams from the ashes up. But I don't think there's anything bad about the ceiling raisers. That you're on a great team and you're performing to make that team even better.
Hey,
At the Warriors, when they added Kevin Durant, did they need Kevin Durant? No, heck no. But they made them that much more better. That's probably not good English. Sorry, I'm not an English major, but
what was that quote Jordan made like 2 years ago at the Tar Heels game about raising the ceiling or whatever?
Ceiling is the roof or something like that?
Yeah, the ceiling is the roof. Yeah. The ceiling is the roof.
So what side do you guys more lean towards? Like I said, I'm more of like kind of the floor raisers. That's the side I lean more towards. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with the ceiling raisers. What, I guess, do you prefer watching more? Because there's perks of both sides. Kevin, I'll start with you.
Yeah, so that's a really interesting one because I think that is a tough one to compare from Jordan's day because, like, now if LeBron's on the Cavs and the rest of the players suck, Well, they're just like, all right, LeBron, you got the ball, you're running the offense, everything goes through you. When Jordan was on the Bulls, and even when they weren't the best team before, like Pippen and stuff, he had to play within like an offense essentially. And then even when they got Pippen, they're playing within an offense. So I think it was a little harder to be a floor raiser back then, just because there wasn't the type of ball dominance that there is today. So I think that's just a tough one for me to compare, like personally.
Nick, is there a side that you kind of lean more towards, or kind of in the same?
I think I am somewhat in agreement with Kevin. I just look at it in a somewhat different way. For one, yes, the era was different, but like I said, I've even used myself. I think the best argument for LeBron is the fact that he leaves and his team sucked, whereas Jordan left and his team didn't suck, because that clearly shows LeBron probably had worse teammates. However, if I wanted to argue my own point, LeBron, although he's technically not a point guard, is much more of a point guard than Michael Jordan is. And let's just face it, the point guard is, probably the most important part of your team. Maybe not back in the 70s and 80s, but they're the glue. And it's hard to make up for a point guard. I remember like the Gophers years ago when Al Nolan got injured. Al Nolan was a point guard for the Gophers. He wasn't even that good. He was like the third or fourth best player on the team. But he got injured, and we went from a ranked team to a team who could barely win a game. So when you lose a point guard, it just affects you more than when you lose a power forward or center. It's harder to replace. And I think that's part of the reason why LeBron's teams have struggled so much without him as opposed to Jordan's teams. But I think it still is a very good argument for LeBron. But I guess if I had to pick, I would take a floor raiser because you can make any team good then. But at the end of the day, I just want the better player,
That's fair.
Kawhi would probably, as you put it, be more of a, ceiling raiser than a floor raiser. But I'll take Kawhi over just about anybody in the NBA nowadays. Yeah. I might take Kawhi over everybody nowadays, even LeBron. It's between Kawhi and LeBron right now.
Interesting. Yeah, and that wasn't so much for like just try and compare which one was better. I was just whatever you think, whatever you guys like more. But yeah, perks of both for sure. It is.
I never actually heard that term ceiling raiser before, but it makes sense. I know what you
don't even know if it
Kawhi
is.
Doesn't necessarily make these scrubs really good or play like they're not scrubs anymore. But if he it's already a good team like the Raptors, he makes them like champions.
Yeah. I think that goes to like the ball dominant thing. Like you said, Chris Paul is like a floor raiser because the ball's in his hand all the time. Kawhi's not really a true point forward kind of guy. He plays like a traditional 3 or 4 most of the time.
Yeah.
Another thing, I again just thinking of stuff here to bring up. Do you guys think that this is something that's brought up a lot too? The teams that they play. I think this is a big argument that it's hard to say which one is better because, you look at the teams that Michael Jordan played, are they better than the teams that LeBron has had to play? I don't know. It's tough. So I think, I don't know. Kevin, I'll give it to you again. You're the guest, so I'll let you start again. How do you feel about that? Do you think the competition that Jordan went up against is better than the competition that LeBron has gone up against in his career?
Yeah, that's a tough one because, of course, the Eastern Conference nowadays is notorious for being absolute garbage pretty much. Not anymore. They're not as bad now, but usually when Jordan was on or James was on the Heat and then when he's on the Cavs for those couple of years.
Yeah, they were very solid.
I look to the league as a whole, I think in Jordan's day was worse at the bottom than it is now. Like those bad teams back when Jordan was playing were bad. Like they might not beat like some D1 teams nowadays. Like they were trash.
They were Timberwolves bad.
Yeah, the Timberwolves might have won the finals against like the toilet bowl against those teams. But that's a tough one. I think the teams that kind of going back to, I think Jordan lost to better teams than LeBron has lost to, besides the Warriors in the finals. Besides that team, any team that pre-Heat days when he lost in the Eastern Conference playoffs a couple times, I think those teams weren't that good. I think the Mavs weren't that good as most teams that beat Jordan. I don't even think the Spurs were as good as most teams that beat Jordan.
The Spurs that beat him with the Heat?
Yes.
I don't think that team was as good as most teams that beat Jordan.
I would say
that's interesting.
throughout the whole season, I think you may be right. However, that final specifically, that Spurs team played.
They were playing very good.
I mean, Gary Neal, of all people, could not miss a three. I mean, that team was a different team in the finals. That's all I'd say. I think over the 82 game span or the 100 game span, if you include playoffs, they may not have been as good. But that finals specifically, I mean, they played out of their mind.
Yeah, but then I will say in the finals, that's where I have more trouble with it because I don't think Jordan usually was playing great teams in the finals.
Yeah.
I think honestly the best team he ever beat in the finals was probably the Jazz.
Yeah. Who he beat twice, correct?
Yeah, he beat them the last 2 times. And I don't know if I'd put the Jazz historically definitely not over the Warriors.
No.
Maybe in the same ballpark as the Thunder and Spurs, maybe, but
that's tough.
I don't think he was. Yeah. So, I mean, he was running through the playoffs, essentially. That was the thing. Like, it was pretty much sweat for most of the time.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, that's kind of where I sit on it. I don't think he was. I think he lost to better teams than LeBron lost to for the most part, besides the Warriors. But I don't know if he beat the same amount of teams in the finals.
Yeah. I think this is a very important topic because Jordan has 6, LeBron has 3, right? So if you say the teams Jordan played in the finals are better than LeBron, then, I mean, there really isn't any argument here, is there?
Yeah.
But that's why I think it's not, I mean, it might not be a huge gap, but I do think LeBron played the better teams. As Kevin mentioned, the path to the finals was much easier. However, I mean, all that really matters is who you play in the finals. I mean, maybe not like this year where it would probably be Clippers, Lakers in the Western Conference Finals. That might darn near be the finals before the finals if we ever get to see that. But unless there's some really dominant teams in your conference, all that really matters, all that I really care about is the finals. And I think LeBron clearly played better teams in the finals. That Mavericks team, if you take LeBron's 9 finals and Jordan's 6, that's 15. That Mavericks team is probably 13, 14, or 15 as far as how good. And that Thunder team was really good, but all those guys were really young yet. So, I mean, I don't think
they were new to it.
I mean, they're not necessarily the greatest, but I think there's a legitimate argument that all 4 Golden State Warriors teams, even the 2 before Durant, were better than any other team Jordan played. There's a legitimate argument behind that. And definitely, with no debate, in my opinion, the best 2 teams of those 15 teams are the 2 Kevin Durant Warriors teams. There is no way any team Jordan ever played was better than those Kevin Durant Warriors teams. And those teams were better than the 73-9 Warriors. I don't care what anybody says. In my opinion, yes, 73-9 is better record-wise. But you can't go 73-9 and add Kevin Durant and get worse. Record may have been worse, but they weren't worse. So Jordan had the easier path, had the harder path to the finals, but he had the easier teams in the finals.
But
is that saying? Oh yeah, go ahead.
I think I'm quick with that. So what I'd say with that is, so basically Jordan's team was the better team 6 out of 6 times in the finals, and they did what they were supposed to. Jordan did what he was supposed to 6 times out of 6. Yeah. I'd say in Miami, every year LeBron's team was better 4 times, and they split them. That's kind of where I'll go with that.
Definitely, they were definitely better than Dallas and lost.
Yeah.
The last year in San Antonio, in Miami against San Antonio is debatable because I think Wade was starting to really get affected by his injuries, and the kind of role players for Miami were kind of lacking that year. So I think there's an argument that year that the Spurs could have been better, but yeah, I mean, there's no debate the Heat were better than the Mavs and should have beat them, but it was LeBron playing terrible in the finals that ended them. And yeah, can we hold the fact against Jordan that he didn't play the Warriors in the finals? No. But I think the argument is that I am trying to get out of it is, would LeBron have 6 if he didn't run into these teams? And, I mean, that's a legitimate question.
Something else that's brought up a lot of times is, and this is so hard to do because this you can't really say, for sure one or the other. It truly is just speculation. When people try and say, how would certain players do in, certain eras of the game?
Oh God, I hate this debate.
Using and I'm just gonna take out the, well, they would have adapted. they would have adapted to it. I'm going to say based off of pure skill of where they were at and their height of their career. And like I said, this is a hard debate to do because it's all speculation. You don't really have much to go off of.
Yeah.
Personally, I think, LeBron I think he would have been fine. I think he would have been fine then. Now, obviously, it's hard to say because, 3 points weren't a ginormous part of the game then. It was kind of a in the paint, mid-range kind of game at that time. Now it's more of, the Splash Brothers, let's shoot from deep and, maybe some layup packages in there too. I think LeBron may have been fine then. Like I said, though, it's hard to say because the game is completely different. I mean, one thing that I took away that I thought was super interesting from this Last Dance series is how low scoring those games were back when Jordan played.
Yeah.
And that's not a knock saying, when Jordan played, they just couldn't score.
They just played defense.
Unbelievable. I mean, like super physical. Not to say they don't play defense now. I just think the offense is that much better. So it looks like guys are just lagging and, not really playing well on defense. So I just thought that was interesting. But going back to the initial point, do you guys think one player would have dominated significantly more in the other one's era than the other one would? And everyone's start.
I'd like to go first because I'm pretty passionate about this debate. I absolutely hate this stupid eras debate. Whether you can compare eras or not, whatever. But saying LeBron wouldn't have been good in this era or Jordan would have been good in this one is so stupid. Let's face it. Jordan and LeBron are the best two basketball players to ever live. It don't matter if they play in 1824 or 2078. They're going to be good. They're that good. It don't matter. And, yeah, they didn't have a three-point line back then. Well, so what? And LeBron shouldn't, and I know that's before Jordan or LeBron, but if LeBron wouldn't have been good in this era, that's just a dumb argument. They would be good in any era. They're that good. And it shouldn't be held against them that they wouldn't have been good in 1988. He didn't play in 1988, so who the hell cares? I don't. And the one that just irritates me to the core, Jordan played against the bad boy Pistons, and they pushed him around. LeBron's a little wussy. Well, LeBron James is 6'9", 275 pounds. He is a freight train. He would be better off in an era that's more physical because he's stronger than everyone. And yeah, maybe he's not the greatest free throw shooter, but guess what? Jordan wasn't the greatest free throw shooter either. He didn't shoot 90% like Steph Curry. And if you're going to use that debate, because I know none of you guys have, but I've heard that argument for why Jordan's better than LeBron so many times because LeBron wouldn't have been good in an era where they played defense like that, blah, blah, blah. But what if Jordan played in this era? They shoot – all this era is about his three-point shooting. Jordan wasn't the greatest three-point shooter. So you have –
That's why I think you have to take the adaptability part into it. I think you have to consider that then.
Sure. That's fair.
And to that point, like I said, Jordan and LeBron are the best two players ever. It don't matter when they play. They're going to be good. They're going to find a way to be good and win, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah, I agree on that. What I will say is I think LeBron's greatness would be scaled back a little bit statistically if he played in Jordan's era.
Numbers-wise, because they don't score as much and whatnot.
And because they ran set offenses. Like, LeBron wouldn't be bringing the ball up every single play.
Sure.
He might, but I don't think he would be.
Wow.
And I think if Jordan's
At the same time, though, it might mean LeBron would win more games because clearly LeBron's a good point guard. I mean, as we see this year where he's pretty much playing point guard as the Laker, he's averaging double-digit assists, and his team's one of the best in the league.
And I think Jordan's offensive dominance, if you're taking in, like, adapting, I think he would translate fine. And I think he averaged 30 points for his career, and he played in the era of low-scoring games. He played in games where he was scoring at least 1/3 of his team's points every single night, essentially.
He's the all-time leader in points per game, correct?
What was that?
He's the all-time leader in points per game, correct?
He's tied with Wilt. Exact same. Yeah, both are 30.1.
30.1. Dang.
He had 31 and a half in Chicago.
Oh, okay. Which really matters. Yeah. LeBron averages, I think I got it somewhere here. He averages 28.9 for his career, by the way. So
And that's another reason it's tough to debate because how old is LeBron?
How old is he? Gosh, I should know this. I think he's 35.
I'm Nick.
35?
His birthday is December 30th. I know that.
That's good.
Like, think about Jordan. At 35, Jordan wasn't playing anymore.
Yeah.
was
okay.
done.
He's 35.
That's
the
another thing I think
sorry,
I'll
That's the debate I want to get into. How much, because the one thing nobody can argue in Jordan's favor is the longevity debate. Clearly, longevity is LeBron's favor. I mean, if Jordan never retired, whatever, maybe he could have.
Know about that?
So how big of a deal is the longevity debate and the fact that LeBron is 35 and still dominating the league? How much do you factor that in?
Kevin, you go ahead. You can start with this one.
That's what I don't know because I don't know with Jordan. I mean, he averaged 28.7 points and then retired and wasn't back until he was 38 years old. So I don't know how the longevity, would he still have been as dominant for those next 3 years? Nobody knows. If he plays those next 3 years, is he still good when he's 38? Nobody knows.
True.
I don't know. I don't know with the longevity.
I will say this, in 97-98, when he was 34, he averaged 28.7 points a game, which led the league. So he was still clearly pretty good at age 34.
Win the MVP.
I'm not sure if he did that year or not.
I'll look it up.
I know sometimes people bring up I don't know. I don't think they bring it up enough, actually, is what I'm trying to say. The end of the Jordan career, the Wizards era. I was kind of interested to see if they would bring that up at all in the Last Dance documentary. I assume no, just because Jordan kind of had the last say on everything, and those Wizards teams were not very good.
Well, and it technically wasn't just a Jordan documentary, really. It was a Bulls documentary.
Okay, yeah, but if we're being honest, it was a Jordan documentary.
But
it was the Last Dance, the last Bulls team, but dang near everything that happened there revolved around Jordan versus players. If it was teams, it's pretty much a Jordan documentary. That's what I'm calling it, at least. Do you guys think that should be brought up more? Because he wasn't as good then. I mean, don't get me wrong, averaging 20 points a game ain't too bad. I certainly couldn't do that. But because I'd average 40, so that's why I couldn't do that.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Nick, I don't know why you basketball game.
Yeah, I don't know. You probably average like 50 nowadays at Dorton.
Okay. That's all I needed to hear.
No, I don't think. I think the Wizards years are kind of just a mute point. I honestly, I don't think it really mattered. If Jordan would have somehow pulled out a finals or something, well, yeah, we'll use that towards his argument of how great he is. But I don't think it. I mean, there were bad teams. Neither one made the playoffs. Jordan was good, but he wasn't great. I don't know. I don't think it really matters. If LeBron plays when he's 38, 39, which I think will happen, and is just totally better than Jordan, then maybe you could use that towards LeBron and again towards the longevity debate, but I don't think it really matters. And by the way, although Jordan did average 22.9 a game at age 38, he shot 41.6%.
They were essentially just feeding him the ball to fill seats. I mean, that's basically what it was.
I mean, that's like Kobe at the end of his career in LA. So it's not as impressive as it looks.
I think it might matter, like you said, depending on what LeBron does at that age.
Yeah.
It depends on what he's doing, essentially, because then it could add to his longevity argument. Because we don't really know what the seasons that he's doing right now, because Jordan didn't play the same seasons.
By the way, I don't remember Jordan even playing as a Wizard, but I do have a really old basketball game on PS2 where I was always the Wizards just so I could be Michael Jordan, and it was awesome.
That's funny.
I wish, and obviously none of us are old enough, I wish I could have seen, if we could have seen Jordan his whole career versus LeBron, I think we'd all be better off at this debate. Obviously we haven't. Yeah. But going off what we have seen about what we can see about Jordan's career and LeBron's career, I lean LeBron, but I mean, I don't know. It's hard to really know for sure without actually seeing them both eye to eye playing.
Well, I think we might be towards the end here. Kevin, Nick, do you guys have any other LeBron, Jordan topics that you want to bring up before we're all finished here, or just any sports topics in general? I don't really care.
I do. So it seems like most of us, definitely me, are inclined to speak offense more so. But defense is part of every game, and Jordan was in 9-time All Defense. LeBron was 6. So how much does that factor into it? Because me personally, I think LeBron, when he wants to be, is the greatest defender in the NBA. However, the dude has not played defense in like 7 seasons, and it ticks me off. Yeah. Whereas Jordan never took a play off. I mean, and he was on 9 all-defensive teams. So how much does this matter? And who was the better defender?
I will say that's tough. Obviously the different era thing, but if you're having a GOAT debate, obviously that has to be a part of it. I think when people say like LeBron, takes off plays, I will agree. I don't think he's the same defender that he was, when he first came in the league and so on and so forth. But I think there's a reason why LeBron plays, 45, 50 minutes a game in the playoffs. It's because those little miniature load management plays during the season where he maybe is not going as hard on defense as maybe you would like him to. So when he gets to the playoffs, he's ready to go into playoff LeBron mode, 50, 55, 60 minutes a game. I don't know if he's gotten 60.
When they go to overtime. They go to overtime,
yeah.
So you can only play 48 in regulation, but I know what you're getting at.
Yeah. Thank you, Nick. But anyways, going back to my point, I it's hard. I don't think. Yeah, I don't know. Kevin, you take it. I don't know what I'm trying to say.
Jordan doesn't know.
I mean, defensively, I don't think when I ever think about it, like I actually consider the defense. Not that I shouldn't. I think it should be considered, but when it comes up, I don't think it's on anybody's mind, really.
It definitely is not mine because I'm biased towards offense over defense. But I mean, it does matter. So
it matters, but I just don't think it's usually considered.
Yep, I agree. That's how I feel too.
I have heard people, bash LeBron's defense, but which honestly, over the last 7 years, there's a good reason behind that. I mean, he has not been that great of a defender recently.
But I think that goes back to how the game's played now. Like that's just what happens.
I guess what I like to say. So I have seen. I mean, I know both you two have too, but I have seen many LeBron James games, right? And when he wants to, like that Andre Iguodala block, which Dorton loves so much.
That's the best play I've ever seen live.
I mean, he is like he is the greatest defender I've ever seen, possibly when he wants to be. He just isn't, and it ticks me out because, and to the offensive side too, LeBron, the best games I've ever seen him play, the best game of LeBron James's career is either the Pistons game where he scored like 23 consecutive, or the Celtics game, Eastern Conference Finals game 6, where he scored 45, had 15 boards and 5 assists, and he literally, I think one of the announcers said, I've never seen in my life one guy beat a team by himself until tonight. That's what LeBron did. And what I'm getting at is that game, you know what LeBron did? He didn't shoot threes or jumpers. He drove the lane, attacked at will, and you could not stop him. And I've seen LeBron do that a few times, especially like against the Thunder in the finals. And he is by far the best player I've ever seen, not even close when he does that. He just doesn't do it. And it just frustrates me. It's like, LeBron, nobody can stop you if you drive the hoop. You're a great defender when you play defense with all your heart. Why don't you do it? And if he did it consistently, day in and day out, and maybe he can't because he just can't take it physically, I don't know. But if he did, he would be the darn GOAT. I'm telling you. He just doesn't do it, and it frustrates me. And so, I don't know. I think LeBron, when he can be, is one of the best defenders we've ever seen. He just doesn't do it all the time. And if he played better defense against the Warriors in some of those series, or maybe the Spurs, he may have more than 3 finals.
That's fair. So can I bring up one more thing?
Yeah. Like
are you going on the same topic, Nick, or are you doing something?
Just one thing real quick. I will say, however, though, Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman were two of the best defenders in the league. So, I mean,
Dennis Rodman's an all-time underrated player, I think.
So Jordan doesn't have as much defensive responsibility as LeBron did. So, I mean, there is that.
Yeah. So one thing I wanted to ask is, like, relative to other GOAT arguments in other sports, like, how does the gap between this 1 and 2 compare to, like, other sports? Because for me, if I'm considering NBA, NFL, MLB, even though I think there's an argument for LeBron, I think it's the biggest gap between the three sports.
You do? Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I would say hockey. I mean, hockey is Gretzky's got so many more points than everybody. He's obviously, probably the GOAT, and there's not a big debate. I mean, there's probably the biggest gap there. But when you're talking,
Mario too.
Yeah, and like Ovi and Crosby. But when you're talking football, basketball, and baseball, I would say it's between, I lean quarterbacks in football just because, like I said, is Tom Brady or Joe Montana really better than like Lawrence Taylor, Jim Brown? I don't know, but they're very good, and quarterbacks are, what's most important, are going to get the spotlight. So I would say it's between Brady and Montana, and I personally am a huge Brady guy, so there's a pretty big gap there for me. I would say, I don't know. Honestly, I think they're all about the same, and baseball is the one where baseball is so different because there's pitching and hitting, and there's like 100 and some years of it. I mean, you could say Ruth, you could say Bonds, you could say like
it's 100 different people for baseball, and you might get 100 different answers.
But so you're saying like Jordan is, let's just say Jordan's more ahead of LeBron than, I don't know, who's your GOAT for football? Do you have one?
I mean, I'd lean Brady, but it depends on how I'm like valuing positions, essentially.
So you're saying like Jordan's over LeBron more so than any football player is over another football player?
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I'd probably disagree with that because I lean LeBron darn near, but
I would disagree.
I know you're very heavy into Brady.
And I'm about the biggest Brady guy I find. So I'd probably say the gap is not the biggest in basketball, but I think you have a legit argument if you wanted to try to argue that.
Yeah, Brady probably has until Joe Burrow takes over.
What about Trey Lance?
He might be 1B.
Yeah, this guy is like the biggest Burrow fan you'll ever find.
I am. I am a stan. I'm a Bengals fan now. So.
Oh, by the way, and Dorton's a Dolphin fan. I seen yesterday, jersey sales. It's like Tua is number 1 and 2 depending on the jersey, and then the rest of 3 through 10 is Brady and Gronk Buccaneers jerseys, except number 8 is Joe Burrow. So it's Buccaneers, Burrow, and Tua.
You got the state of Florida and then Joe Burrow.
Yeah, I do think Burrow's going to be pretty good.
Well, that's a debate for another time. But
sorry, I guess I do have one more thing. So
fine.
I think I had told somebody one time the biggest debate against Jordan is Pippen, his own teammate. And what I mean by that is I think Scottie Pippen's greatness and the fact that he was there for all 6 finals is a large part in why Jordan is as great as he is and has the 6 finals. So do you think Pippen is, first of all, is Pippen greater than anybody LeBron's ever played with? And is Pippen the reason, is Pippen that good because of Jordan, or is that a very, very, very big reason why Jordan has 6? And I guess I didn't word that very well, but what's your take on the whole Pippen thing?
Like I said before, I think Jordan somewhat made Pippen better because of his mentality, but at the same time, I guess if you're comparing to LeBron's teammates, Pippen's probably, the Pippen that Jordan played with is probably better than anyone that LeBron played with. I mean, all-time career, you could compare D-Wade, I think. I think they're pretty two comparable players, but by the time LeBron was in Miami, I think Wade was kind of past the prime.
First year in Miami, Wade was pretty good, but
yeah.
I guess pretty much all I'm getting at is I don't think people take into account how good Scottie Pippen was. Like Jordan himself said, and obviously, like you said, Jordan, you need a team, but Jordan himself said, I don't have 6 or I ain't Michael Jordan without Scottie Pippen, I don't think people realize how good that guy was, and And I think that's a big reason as to why Jordan has 6. You know, LeBron never had a Pippen with him there in Cleveland. I mean, he never did. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, yeah, that's a tough one.
It's all good debate for sure. Hopefully everybody has stuck through this whole time. I don't know why you wouldn't. I mean, it's a GOAT debate. It's a nice little break in our top 10 draft series, whatever that we've been doing, with not a whole lot of sports going on right now. So I guess, yeah, end of the show. Do you guys have any non-GOAT related topics you'd like to bring up? Any points of interest?
Do you think that NBA? I seen something today about NBA maybe playing at like Disney or something like that in like July. I mean, do you think NBA or MLB is actually going to be back within the next month or two? Because I think it's unlikely, but I sure as heck hope they do.
I hope so, but I'm not going to get excited.
I mean, if baseball's not, I mean, you can't. It's pretty tough to start the baseball season in fall, considering where some teams are located.
Yeah.
Right.
Basketball, I mean, if they delay it any farther than July, well, it's almost next season in a couple months. Right. So I don't know. I think it's football's next up, honestly.
I think so too.
It's just hard because, like, you can't just end hockey season and basketball season without an outcome. I mean, that just sucks. But at the same time, if you don't do that and you finish it out, then you're going to have to probably postpone, or the next 2 or 3 seasons are probably going to have to start way later just to make up for that, you know? So I don't know. It's a tough situation. I just hope they get back soon because
I heard that college football teams are already reporting in early June. Like like Notre Dame, Ohio State, they plan on reporting in like a week and a half or something.
And that's what I'm worried about because I don't know. You probably know better than I do. Obviously, you're a college athlete, but from what I've been told, if you guys don't report to school in fall, then you can't play football, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's kind of the plan. If there's no school, there's no football.
And, you know, I mean, I'm a big Gopher football fan now. I mean, calling me bandwagon or whatnot, but I'm on that Fleck wagon now, and I'm getting really excited. And if they can't play, and I don't know how it'll all work, but let's just, for instance, say there's no college football this year. Does that mean like it counts as a year of eligibility? Like, if this is the last time I've ever seen Rashad Bateman play for the Gophers, I'm going to be really disappointed.
Yeah, I don't know how that'd work. One thing I'm going to say with the Gophers there, what are you going to do when the Gophers have 2 more top 15 finishes and then PJ hops over to like Notre Dame? What are you going to do then? Gonna happen.
You really think so?
I'm pretty confident it's going to happen.
Lou Holtz did. He went to Notre Dame. I don't know. There's a big buyout clause, like if you want to buy him out, but those colleges have so much money anyways. It's pretty much a moot point. But I don't know. I'm optimistic he'll stay, but that's probably just more my heart talking than my head.
Nice.
I don't know. I think Fleck's one of the best coaches in college football, though. I really do. Call me biased if you want, but the dude's
definitely one of the best with culture. Definitely one of the best with the culture aspect.
Yeah.
The Wisconsin game still leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Made some very bad there.
Yeah, you were there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this kid was at game day, like darn near front row.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I was
on the morning news and everything.
I wasn't in like you were in the portion where I couldn't even get into because it was fenced off. I didn't get there that early.
Dang. Well, folks, thank you for listening, Kevin. We appreciate you coming on. You're certainly welcome back anytime. I hope you had a good time. Maybe you didn't. I don't know.
Nick made it a little worse, but it was bearable.
That's understandable. I have to do it every.
That's the first time I've heard that.
So now, yeah, we'll just give out social media stuff now. Kevin, is there any social media handles or anything if people want to talk sports with you, they can reach out to you at?
Yeah, just Twitter at Kevin Durham Jr. That's all it is. Just my full name, Kevin Durham Jr.
Well, that's easy enough.
Yeah.
Say to the point, like it.
Yeah, quick and to the point. If you want to follow
967 tweets. Look at that. He's active.
If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can follow myself at Lucas_Dorton, capital L, capital D. If you want to follow Nick on Twitter, at Doetkott, Doetkott, whatever's easier for you to pronounce and type for that. And then If you want to follow the Twitter page, it is at DND_podcast, capital D's, capital P for that. But anyways, again, Kevin, thank you so much for joining us. Had a great time. Nick, as always, great time there. Bring the headband next week or else I'm replacing you with Kevin.
I'm ready. I have a headband too. I can pull it off.
Okay. Well, it's going to be the Dorton and Durham debate podcast.
There we go.
Darn, that honestly probably sounds better too.
It rolls off the tongue.
Darn.
But anyways, thank you everybody for listening. And until next week, we are out.